Reluctant landlord, and he wouldn't take an offer on the property. He had £15,000 in equity tied up in the property, and that's what he wanted. People have been offering him silly prices over an 8-month period, and he would not accept the offers. So we said, Bob, you've got 15,000 in this property. If we give you the 15,000 that you want, will you give us some flexibility around the timescale in which we deliver the money to you? He said, well, I don't need the money straight away, as long as I get it. So we took control over the property using a single document with the promise that we'll pay him the 15,000 some way down the line. In the meantime, we babysit the property, we babysit the mortgage payments. Because we're babysitting the mortgage payments, we haven't got to go to the bank and get a mortgage. So we sold it on an instalment contract. Let's have some numbers, because otherwise these people will be here all night and we're going to be thrown off about.
I'll be very quick.
Yeah.
Right. We sold this property. This property needed a little bit of renovation. Here was the key. Bob was a reluctant landlord and didn't want this property because it was giving him some aggravation. He was finding it difficult to rent because it was in perfect state. So it needed the wallpapers taken off and the carpets changing. That's why we asked for 5,000 deposit only. So, we started marketing the property on Rightmove. We had a nice couple, all were condition. They were living in a 1-bedroom flat. They loved the fact that they could buy a 2-bedroom semi-detached house. They were planning to get married and establish a family. So the wife had a nice income, but the husband was still studying and he was still a trainee surgeon. So they had £11,000 in savings, but I only asked them to park £5,000. I wanted them to spend other £5,000 on renovating the house, changing the carpet and renovating it in their own style. So they loved the fact that they could do this. Where else you can buy a house with £5,000, pay no need to get a mortgage, no other expenses. All you have to do is just refurbish it. So they moved in with £5,000. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the key. It's not about the price, it's all about the terms. We agreed to pay Bob £15,000. We didn't negotiate about the price, but knowing that we got a very, very cheap mortgage on this property and knowing that we're going to make great cash flow on this property over a 5-year period, we didn't negotiate about the price. It's about the terms. So we're happy to pay him £15,000. £28,800 net cash flow over 5 years. Amazing cash flow from a nice 2-bedroom house. Back-end profit, £37,000. That's the difference between how much Bob owes to the lender and how much we charge the buyer. Remember, we're going to make only 22 because we have to pay Bob £15,000 on completion.
So, how much have we made on this?
£55,000. Who would you like to steal?
How much did we pay for this?
Nothing. Zero.
How many tenants did we move in?
Zip.
And how much did we pay for renovation costs?
Nothing.
Zero. Anybody like one of those? Do you think you might be able to do some of these? You just need to know how the instalment contract works, which is a simple piece of paper. So there's a free recording of this presentation, and if you would like that free recording, would you please go and see Graham at the back of the room afterwards, not now, afterwards, and enter your details. Thank you for that. They're giving us another 15 minutes. So it's worth having a little moan, isn't it? Yeah. So see Graham, enter your details on the form, and we will send you the free recording, free of charge. So you can revisit this and relook at it. Repetition, repetition, repetition. It's a good way to learn. Mesud, before I ask you, does anybody here know what a lemon is? Any volunteers? What is a lemon? Anybody?
Something it's not sold as it's sold as seen, but it's less than the product.
Come on, Mesud, put them out the misery. What's a lemon?
Okay. Lemon is a property that you don't want to own. You don't want it in your portfolio. What's the point of owning 30 properties if they're not making you any money? So let's get rid of this. What a lemon is actually where the mortgage debt, the amount you owe the bank, is greater than the value of the property. So
let's have a look at this up here.
Look at that. House value, let's imagine this is a £100,000 house. And the mortgage outstanding on it is £120,000. So if you had to get rid of this house today, you needed to find £20,000. So how do you get rid of a property that is in negative equity?
And the other lemon?
Could be also a property that is in negative cash flow. Negative cash flow means the rent that you're getting is less then what it costs you in terms of mortgage, management fees, service charges, and ground rents. It also could be a property where it's on a standard variable rate at the moment, but the slightest increase in the standard variable rate with that lender will cause negative cash flow.
Looks a bit like this.
Yeah, a bit like this. Recently, Santander raised their standard variable rate from 4.24 to 4.74, 0.5%. That all of a sudden created 70,000 negatively cash flowing properties. So we live in times where the base rate is really low, so that's not going to stay firm forever. Right, for example, rent 525, monthly outgoings 645, mortgage, service charge and ground rent £120 negative cash flow. As you know, this property costs £120 every single month.
Does anybody here have any of these? Come on, because wherever I go, I find people that have these, because I don't mind admitting I have a few. And how does it make you feel? It makes you feel as though you've served up a lemon and you don't know what to do with it. What do you do with a property like that nobody wants to own, nobody wants to buy from you? Well, we have a solution. But it makes you feel really bad and it drains your pockets. So let's have a look at an example of how we solve the problem of a lemon and turn lemons into gold mines. So this is a property that I own in Manchester city centre on the canal. In fact, it's such a good deal I bought 2 of these. And the builder gave me, the developer gave me £12,000 cash back on each deal. So I've got 24,000 in the bank and 2 properties, brand new, off plan. Never seen them.
Wow.
Perfect. Didn't even need to find a tenant. The problem is, a few years later, this property is in serious negative equity, but worse so, it's in serious negative cash flow. Every month I put my hand in my pocket and I subsidise the rent every month. And I can't sell it because it's worth less than the outstanding debt. In fact, £40,000 less than the outstanding debt. So we're going to solve the problem. Tell us a story quickly, because these people don't want to.
How does that make you feel, Doug?
Well, it makes you feel like that. Go out for a steak, and I end up with a lemon. Makes you feel pretty bad.
Let's turn it into a steak, shall we? Right, Doug told me about this property nearly 2 years ago. I opened the file and I searched the address of the property. Just went on Rightmove to look for comparables. I found a 1-bedroom flat for sale in the same block, £99,000. Then I opened the next page just to look at the mortgage statements. £138,800 outstanding on the mortgage statement. That's about £14,000 upside down. Right, I said, Doug, we're in trouble. And I said, we have to get rid of this. And if you remember the negative cash flow diagram, that is based exactly on this property. So the rent is £525, monthly outgoings £645, and £120 negative equity, negative cash flow every month. So it costs Doug £120 every month. Have you got still that cash back you was talking about?
Well, I spent it on the, subsidising the rent. It's a good job I've got a few other properties to subsidise.
Wow, how does that make you feel?
Well, like this guy here with a lemon.
Okay.
What do you do with it?
Right.
What do you do with one of these?
I said, Doug, we sold properties above market value previously on the instalment contract. I said, I'm sure there is someone in Manchester that wants to live in a nice 1-bedroom flat in the town centre where he can move with £5,000 deposit and pay us monthly over a period, and we sell our instalment contract. I put it right now. £5,000 moves in, no mortgage required. £807 a month. That is yours. Move in within days. Okay, as you know, here is the power. That's the difference between instalment contracts and options or rental. When you sell a property on an instalment contract, you exchange contracts and you have a buyer. So when the buyer exchanges contracts, he commits into buying the property. So now he is responsible for paying the service charge. He is responsible for paying the ground rent. On an option, you do a shortfall tenancy agreement. You are still the landlord, and you are responsible for paying the service charge and the ground rent. That's why instalment contracts are much more profitable. A property that was £120 in negative cash flow, now all of a sudden is £260 in positive cash flow.
Thank you.
Over a 5-year period, £15,000 profit. That property that was £40,000 upside down. Now we turn into £20,000 profits.
The other thing is, of course, we've made up the negative cash flow. So we've not only made 20,600 profit from a negative cash flow in negative equity property, but we've also made up the 40,000 negative as well. So in fact, this profit was worth £60,000.
How does that make you feel now?
Well, let's get rid of the other one.
Okay.
So, the thing is that every city centre in this country, every bay, every waterfront, every river has been built on by greedy developers who overpriced the properties, sold off plan, and offered all sorts of deals for investors to get into. There's thousands of them out there. And there are thousands of investors that would pay you to take these deals away from them. I would be prepared to pay somebody to take that from me. I'd be prepared, instead of finding £40,000 to sell it, if somebody was to say, I'll take it from you and give me £10,000, I'll probably pay them. So there's big opportunities, massive opportunities for us investors to approach those people and make money from these. So this is the second lemon. This is in Sky Studios, which is opposite City Airport. So it's a lovely location, not a great property, but it's a nice location. The lady was just about to be repossessed on this. We went to court to stop the repossession. We just offered the judge £100 a month more over and above the mortgage payment. He accepted that. We saved the repossession. But she did have some large arrears, and she had some large arrears on the service charge. But worse still, there was a negative equity position on this of £65,000. How do you make any money from something that's £65,000 in negative equity? Well, we saw the opportunity because the mortgage payment on this was based on a Mortgage Express 1.75% above base lifetime tracker. That's 2.25%. So they're a cheap mortgage payment every month. So we could see that we could make massive profits from this deal based on that fact alone. Again, we sold it on an instalment contract.
We could have let this property go. We could have let this property be repossessed. We didn't need to do this deal, but we wanted to help our friend. She had this massive negative equity property. He had a mortgage of £230,000. Okay, and it was probably worth, I'm exaggerating here, 170 max. Okay, it was massively negative equity, but it had dirt cheap mortgage. Okay, so £7,000 moves in, no mortgage required, £1,113 per calendar month, and this property is yours. Move in within 28 days. Put it on Rightmove. We had a buyer all the way from Leeds. She just got a job in central London, and she didn't want to rent. She loved the fact that she could actually own a house and just buy it over a period of time. She moved in with £7,000. She's paying £1,113 a month. That gives us £551 net cash flow every month. Over a 5-year period, £33,060. Also, we sold the property for nearly £240,000.
Cash out on this?
Well, we're not going to make any back-end profit. Look, total profit is £40,000, and also we got rid of £65,000 negative equity. How powerful is that?
So the deal's worth £100,000, but it actually made us physical £40,000 from a negative position. There are a lot of these out there. Trust me, there's a lot of these. If you fancy a trip across to Cardiff Bay, you'll find hundreds of them there. So let's look at something different. We showed you some baby sits and some lemons, but let's look at an idea which is traditional for us investors, where we're buying a property using a mortgage, which most of us will understand. So this is a scenario where we purchased the property from a lady called Jane in Jellicoe Avenue in Gravesend, where our offices are. The value of the property is £160,000, and Jane has a mortgage outstanding of £24,000. We've asked her what she needed, we've asked her what she wanted. What she wanted was £160,000, but what she needed was to go and buy a caravan to put on some land that she owned. The caravan was £78,000. So we gave her what she needed rather than what she wanted, which was pay off to £24,000, buy your caravan for £78,000. So what we do is we give you £110,000 now, with a promise that we will give you another £25,000 later on. We gave her a document which promised that we will pay the £25,000. So for those of you who can add up you see 110 and 25 is 135, so we did in fact get that below market value based on the property next door.
Well, the next door property, when we went on Rightmove, checked it out, it was a probate property. The garden was massively overgrown, the property was not maintained well at all. It was for sale for 135, and for the last 6 months didn't sell. I said, Jane, okay, with all fairness to you, your property is lovely. She had carpets this thick, every internal door was worth £1,000. She had tiles imported from Italy, top class kitchen. But I negotiated the fact that the next door was sold for 135 and it wasn't sold, yours can't be massively more valuable than that. And I said to her, look, okay, we can pay you £25,000, 110 now, £25,000 within 5 years, or £35,000 within 10 years. Which choice would you like? She said, I can't wait 10 years, I'm going to take the 5-year choice. So she went for it.
So using our single document which we used to buy and control property with, we was able to go to the bank based on the value of £160,000, we was able to raise £120,000. From that £120,000 we gave her the 110 which we promised to give her, which of course we got a £10,000 cash back. If anybody in the room would like to know how I did that, I'll see you at the back of the room and I'll explain for you. Basically, it looked a bit like that. We went to the bank and raised some money. I gave her most of that and kept a little bit back for myself, and then I owed her a little bit later on. And that little bit later on, we used what we call a nibbling technique, where we nibbled back some of the money because she wanted an early settlement. So the early settlement meant she didn't have to wait for 5 years, but she didn't get all the money. That was the house. It's an ordinary 3-bedroom, ex-council house in Gravesend in Kent. Nothing special about it apart from the interior.
That's the one next door, the probate that was for sale 135.
So this is Jane and Mesud together with Jane's grandchild. That's really all she wanted to do, was to go and live in this caravan, see her grandchildren and live with her horses. And Jane wrote us a testimonial when she came to collect the money from us, when she cashed out early. And you probably can't see it very well, but it says there Doug and Mesud is spelled with a love heart, because she really did love Mesud. So, the thing is, it was a win-win-win situation, because Jane won because she had a quick sell and she got what she needed. We won because we made some profits from the deal, and also the buyer won because we moved the buyer into the property, which we're just going to give you the information on now, which is we sold it on an instalment contract.
Here is the power. Instalment contract is just an exit strategy. In fact, it's the most profitable exit strategy. So when we buy this property, okay, we can sell negative equity properties well above market value. Why we can't sell a property that we bought discounted well above market value? In fact, I just, for trial purposes, I put it on Rightmove. £5,000 moves it in, £1,102 a month. Total purchase price 189,995. That's quite above what we bought it. Okay, within 2 days we had a buyer. Doctors, trainee doctors that just graduated from university in Russia and got a job in the UK. They are new in the country and they couldn't get a mortgage because they didn't have permanent residence yet. So they loved the fact that they could buy a house in the UK. So we moved them all the way from Luton to Gravesend. So now they moved their practice from Luton to Crayford. So they live in Gravesend, work in Crayford. Right, we have a mortgage on this of £545. That gives us net cash of £606 a month.